About a year ago, over a year ago, I gave a talk in Delhi on Kundalini, and I posted the video on YouTube, and amazingly, it really, for what I do, it went viral, and I am so grateful. It was just such a great response. We had over 650,000 views in the last year alone, and I am just in humility and gratitude for all you lovely people that watched it and responded and and talked to me about it and wrote to me and kept in touch with me. Thank you so much. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to take a little time and do little 10-minute videos where I talk about Kundalini. And I'm going to teach you about Kundalini. I'm going to share with you my knowledge. I'm going to take you deeper and deeper. And if you are interested to go further with me, you can take a course or do something with me later if you like. And I'll help you figure that out with me as well. So what I want to do is that I'm going to talk about Kundalini today. And Kundalini, we have so many schools now talking about Kundalini. We have Kundalini Yoga in the States with Yogi Bhajan. We have Kriya Yoga. We have Shakti and Sri Vidya, Tantra. We have, schools of Hatha Yoga doing Kundalini now. We see it in so many different ways. And Kundalini is a word that's bandied around, but one has to understand the esoteric and occult meaning of it before one can go deep into its practice and understand how to awaken it. Because all of these are techniques, these are not the esoteric knowledge. And the esoteric knowledge is a very fascinating thing. It goes back thousands of years. This was been known to shamans as an energy. But basically, Kundalini, the name we have in India for it, is an energy. It sits inside you. It's dormant in most people, and in fact in most people it just sleeps and it comes alive once in a while when you see a beautiful sunset or hear music or dance or discover some amazing new thing or experience ecstatic bliss with a lover or taste it through a hallucinogenic plant or medicine. And these are the ways in which Kundalini can come alive in people who are not awaken to that energy. Otherwise, it is an altered state of consciousness, and one can see it in so many different ways in the world, but it is not available readily. This is why there were secret schools, and why the ancients were obsessed with this energy, because they figured out that they could awaken it through mystery schools, and you see it in Egypt, you see it in Sumeria, you see it in India, in Mexico. Architecture, systems, processes, symbolism, so many ways. The serpent, the eye, the acorn, these are all symbols of this great energy that had different names but was known as the Christos by the Greeks, by Kundalini by the Indians. And it was just something mind altering according to all the written words and the written ideas that came out of that time. So what is Kundalini? So Kundalini is essentially an energy. It sits inside you, dormant, and if awakened, can transform your life completely. It awakens in such a way that it's supposed to be sitting at the base of your spine. So that means that the theory is that after the consciousness in the child, in the mother's womb comes into being, this energy is not required in everyday life and goes down into the base of the spine and sits there. In the Indian image, it is a serpent coiled around a linga, a stone, 3.5 times, waiting to be awakened. So you see that same serpent imagery in Egypt, in Sumeria, way back 2500 BC. This serpent idea of the staff of Hermes, you see it in Hermeticism, you see it in Kabbalah, you see it in everywhere. This idea of an awakening consciousness hidden inside man. Just imagine that it was so secret that it became heretical. That if you were caught practicing these things in 3rd or 4th century Christianity or Roman Empire, you would be killed. You would be immediately killed. So people had to go underground with this knowledge. The Hermetics, the Kabbalists, the Kundalini practitioners in India. In India, it was allowed to continue as part of yoga, and this is why it survived and grew to such a rich degree in India. So we see it in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th centuries AD becoming rich schools of Tantra and Kriya and Kundalini yoga and all kinds of things emerging. So it sits there about what is, I mean, when I think about the science of it, what is radical is that science is now figuring out ways in which this energy might work in us. And there are 3 or 4 candidates that I want to talk about. One is the cerebrospinal fluid that encapsulate the whole brain and comes down into Brahma's cave, into the midbrain limbic region, which we call Brahma's cave, and goes down your spinal cord and sits at the bottom 3 vertebrae in a pouch. Now this liquid is produced every day, and comes up only when needed, and it's literally used in the brain to create immunity, to buffer the brain, and to allow us to discover inner sort of immunity, communications between the nervous system and our brain, and it buffers all of that so that it's supposed to work in that way. Secondly, we have another candidate, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the vagus nerve, the claustrum, these areas. There are 5 major parasympathetic nerves from the anus right up to the back of the brain and above, which in through the ears and into the front and into the nose front here. And those are very similar to the Kundalini knowledge that we know about from the ancient writings. And this parasympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve, communicates between the lower regions, the stomach and the brain. And it also allows connection to the heart, to the throat, to the third eye and other areas of your body. It also connects to the face muscles, to the whole idea of eyes, tongue, all are connected to this parasympathetic system, which also manages and helps our endocrine system. So it directly connects to our well-being, our hormones, our fear factors, our different 3 brains that we have, the reptilian, the limbic, and the neocortex, the monkey chattering brain. The other side of the knowledge, which is what the ancients always talked about, is that this area in the midbrain was known, the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra, the Brahma's cave. This was the place of the most sacred truth, the Christos of the Greeks called it the Christos, that came into you as a taste of heavenly, into your spine, into your tongue. The Amrit came into that. This was the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has always been revered and thought of as the source of awakening for higher states of consciousness, altered states of consciousness. One can imagine that the ancients would do everything: ritual, process, religion, architecture, music, language, all were designed to wake up this ecstatic view of the altered state of reality, another reality, heavenly realities, cosmic realities. Amazing. And this obsession was everywhere. So the pineal gland, you see it in the Eye of Horus, you see it in the Shiva Linga, you see it in the Yoni Linga of India, you see it everywhere. The acorn, the pine cone, the idea of, pine cone, the Merkaba triangles of the Metatron's cube. So many Platonic solids, all were built on the sacred geometry of the understanding of the perception of higher realities from this filter of the pineal gland, which I'll talk about later. So, over the next few weeks, I'm going to take you into this beautiful, beautiful subject of Kundalini, and how, by looking at nature all around us and connecting at this wonderful energy that circulates in our being, we can pull it in, this pranic energy, and we can see it in amazing cosmic ways and find a way to tap it into our bodies, awaken a parallel universe inside us, and become one with this energy called Kundalini. So Stay tuned, and over the next few weeks, I'm going to guide you into this exciting, new, beautiful world. Thank you.